I woke up in the darkness beneath London. The gas lamps barely glowed through the thick, heavy fog, casting trembling shadows across wet cobblestones. All around me stretched distorted Victorian streets. The names on the signs were familiar, but the buildings looked strangely wrong. On the corner stood a house with exposed pipes running along its facade and walls made from mismatched materials. It felt like whoever built this version of London had rushed through it, throwing things together without care or reason. The last thing I remember before blacking out was the attack. Creatures. The bobbies came at us suddenly. We were moving carefully toward the Natural History Museum when a sharp whistle split the air and loud speakers around us roared to life. Police. Stop, criminal. Panic hit hard. I ran with the rest of the team, trying to reach cover, but the ground gave out beneath my feet. I must have fallen into an old cellar or a maintenance tunnel. The radio was destroyed in the fall, completely useless, but somehow my flashlight survived. Now I'm alone, no team, no signals, just a dead city and the echo of my own footsteps. I found shelter in a collapsed pub. Just enough structure left to keep the rain off. Inside were rows of rusted bunk beds packed tightly across the floor. It looked like every building here had been turned into shelters for survivors, though I couldn't imagine anyone actually surviving in these conditions. Everything smelled of mold and damp rot, the kind that seeps into your skin and stays there. Still, UnLondon welcomed me like it had been expecting me. Not long after I opened my eyes down here, a recorded voice echoed through the streets, calm, rehearsed, and completely detached from reality. Welcome to UnLondon, City of Survivors. City of Freedom. Let the world above burn. We will endure. A new dawn will rise. The words were so polished and official they felt absurd. I knew perfectly well the surface was fine, just another day. But down here, buried in silence and fog, the message sounded off, like something a madman would play over and over for the people who had no choice but to listen. Around midnight, I looked outside through the shattered window of the pub. In the distance, shrouded by fog, I saw the dark silhouette of UnLondon's Parliament. It loomed above the rooftops, motionless, but the air around it felt wrong. Like something was watching from behind those walls. The moonlight couldn't reach this deep underground, and only dim, flickering gaslights clung weakly to the buildings. Then I heard it. The scrape of metal against stone. I froze, and just ahead, a mechanical dog stepped into view. It was huge, the size of a Great Dane, all steel and joints that clicked with every slow step. It moved down the street like it owned the place. On its back, a spinning lantern swept side to side like a searchlight, scanning empty windows and piles of trash. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Not until the thing disappeared behind a building. There'd been no mention of these machines in any report I'd read. That meant UnLondon had surprises we still didn't understand. I barely had time to catch my breath before a nearby speaker crackled to life again. This time with a low, distorted voice. Current time, 2 o'clock. All is well. Nothing felt well. My heart was still pounding. But I forced myself to stay calm. I'm writing this now by the week. Flickering light of a kerosene lamp I found in a storage room. The air smells like smoke and damp stone. Sleep is impossible. Not just because of the cold, but because fear is starting to creep into my bones. I don't know if there's such a thing as sunrise in this place, but I'm gonna wait for it anyway. And I'm gonna keep believing, no matter what this place does to me, that my team is still out there. And they'll come back for me. There's no real morning here. Of course. No sunrise, no shift in light. Nothing but the same damp, gaslit gloom, pressing down from all sides. But after a few hours of fitful rest, I felt just awake enough to move. I decided it was time to head west and try to locate our fallback position near Hyde Park. If this place really mirrored London, the park should be in that direction. But navigating UnLondon was anything but simple. The fog hung low, thick as soup, and the streets, while familiar in name, bent and warped in ways that made every turn feel wrong. Some landmarks had been twisted beyond recognition. Others seemed copied by someone who had only seen them once in a dream. I kept to the alleys, walking carefully and staying low. Every few meters I passed reminders that this place was anything but free. Faded posters, peeling from brick walls, slogans painted in harsh fonts, stylized illustrations of order and control. One in particular caught my eye, a mechanical pigeon, wings outstretched mid-flight with bold words printed underneath. UnLondon's eyes in the sky. At first, I thought it was just more propaganda. But then I heard the sound. Wings. Flapping above me, and looked up just in time to see one. It flew fast and low, shaped like a bird but clearly mechanical. In the dim light, I could see copper plating and thin red wiring running along its underside. SCP-1678B. The airborne surveillance units we'd only seen in the files. I ducked beneath a stone arch and held my breath. The thing hovered briefly, circling twice over the street, and then drifted away beyond the rooftops. If it was transmitting video, there was a good chance they knew where I was. I moved quickly, but quietly, slipping through back lanes until I reached a square with a dry, broken fountain. That's when I saw her, just barely, sitting near the base, hunched over, wrapped in what looked like torn fabric. At first, she didn't notice me. She rocked gently, almost rhythmically, holding out a tin bowl with both hands, a Wretch SCP-1678. We'd been warned about them, told not to interact. But standing there, watching her shake in silence was something else. Her presence felt real tragic human. She looked up. Her eyes met mine, and her voice, weak, brittle, pleaded for food. Something in it made me stop. I had a ration bar in my pocket, standard issue against protocol. But I couldn't just walk past her. I stepped forward, slow and careful, and dropped the bar into her bowl. Her eyes widened. She snatched it up with trembling fingers, and tears, real tears, ran down her face, cutting lines through the dirt on her cheeks. She vanished. A cloud of thick black smoke rose up where she had been. 1 second she was there, broken, shaking, and the next, gone. The city was silent again. Save for the faint dripping of water, I stood there a long time, breathing hard, trying to understand what I had just witnessed. And then the loudspeaker spoke again, its voice sharp and cold, echoing through the square. Do not pity the wretches, let them suffer for their betrayal. The loyal shall be rewarded, the faithless will be condemned for eternity. The words hit me like a weight in the chest. The calmness of the voice only made it worse. In that moment, I understood something I hadn't before. These wretches weren't just victims of circumstance. Something had judged them. And I had interfered. Either way, I had to keep moving. Hunger crept up on me like a second shadow. I hadn't eaten anything proper since I got here. And the ration was gone. Most of the shops I passed were empty, shelves rotted out or looted years ago. But eventually, I found one of the dispensers. A food machine bolted to the wall of what had once been a grocery store. Dr. Goody's Miracle Nutrition. A cartoon image of a smiling child holding a spoon was stamped across the front panel. I remembered the warnings, SCP-1678D. We were told the food was technically safe, but not entirely benign. I checked my pockets. Still had the farthing they'd given us for testing. I dropped it. The machine hummed and dispensed a half-liter of something gray and lumpy. It looked like porridge, smelled like nothing. I drank it. All of it. It was bland, slightly sweet. My stomach stopped aching almost immediately. But something else happened too. A warmth settled over me. Not physical warmth, but emotional. A softness. The edge of my thoughts dulled, my heartbeat slowed. And for a moment, just a moment, I felt like maybe everything really was going to be all right.
That's when I remembered the internal report. Long-term consumption dampens fear, suppresses resistance. The food calms you down, makes you forget. And now, I could feel it working. If I stayed still much longer, I wouldn't move again. So I forced myself back onto my feet and started walking. But the false calm had already done its job. My focus slipped. I wasn't paying attention like I should have been. That's why I didn't realize what kind of building I was standing in front of, not until the loudspeaker above the door activated again. Citizen, you are entering a restricted zone. Present your identification. Bobby unit has been dispatched. My blood went cold. I didn't wait, I turned and ran. Behind me, I heard the metallic footsteps, faster than any human could move. A Bobby was coming fast. My mind cleared instantly. The food's fog was gone, replaced by pure adrenaline. I ducked between buildings, turned sharply, vaulted over rubble. Somewhere behind me, the voice roared again. Stop, police. It was close. Too close. I reached into my coat and grabbed my last flare when I saw the Bobby. Tall. Wrapped in bandages, face hidden behind that terrifying black helmet. I lit the fuse and hurled the flare at its feet. The flash was bright, loud smoke filled the alley. The Bobby recoiled, letting out a mechanical shriek. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I just ran. My chest burned, my legs threatened to give out. But I didn't stop. Not until the footsteps faded into silence. Not until I was sure I was alone. I found a rusted fire escape and climbed it hand over hand until I reached the rooftop. From up there, I could finally see it. UnLondon stretched out in every direction, a city of fog and ghosts. But to the west, just past a cluster of broken rooftops, I saw it. A patch of dark trees, Hyde Park. And if Hyde Park was real, then maybe our safe zone was too. I took a deep breath, climbed back down, and started moving. I didn't stop again. Not that night. Not until I reached the trees.
I spent the night in the attic of an old Victorian house, doing my best to avoid turning on any light outside. I kept hearing footsteps echoing through the empty streets. Maybe it was another patrol of Bobbies, or the metallic clicking of those mechanical hounds. At one point, I swear I heard a scream. It didn't sound human. It echoed through the alleyways and vanished into the fog, leaving my nerves strung tighter than ever. But then morning came, or what passes for morning in this place, and with it, something close to hope. When I looked out through a crack in the wall, I saw the fog beginning to thin. And off in the distance, in the direction of the museum, I saw flashes, brief bursts of light, and then the sharp report of gunfire. They were attacking just like the plan. That meant the Foundation hadn't given up. The operation was still underway. This was my chance. I picked up the pace, moving as quickly as I dared, but staying low, weaving around open intersections and moving through narrow alleys. The city felt different, on edge. Every loudspeaker crackled with clipped announcements. System messages UnLondon had switched to lockdown. But I was getting closer. I started to recognize more familiar streets, more symmetrical layouts, landmarks that finally matched what I knew from the surface. And then, through the last stretch of haze, I saw them, tall wrought iron gates, the entrance to Hyde Park. And just beyond those gates, silhouettes, people armed. My team. I didn't think I ran straight toward them, arms raised. Someone called out my name. Another shouted. I stumbled through the barricade, legs barely working. They caught me, pulled me in. I felt hands on my back. Someone steadying me, someone pressing a canteen to my lips. I drank. The flashlight beams were bright, almost too bright. But I didn't look away. I just stood there squinting into that light, feeling like I was waking up for the second time. They told me they thought I was dead, that I'd gone missing 2 days earlier when the squad fell back. No one expected me to come out of that sector. But somehow I did. A few hours later, I was on my way to a safe zone, surface access confirmed. I'm writing this now. Up there. Above. Under real sunlight. And it's strange, almost laughable how unreal the real world feels after everything I saw down there. Bright cars, crowded sidewalks, the sound of kids laughing across the street, all of it feels like a dream someone else is having. But it's real. UnLondon didn't win. I'm here. I made it out. And yet, my mind keeps drifting back.
Before I left that place for good, I turned back one last time, just a glance into the darkness of the tunnel. And I swear I saw them. 3 figures, standing high on a balcony tall, still, dressed like Victorian gentlemen, wearing dark overcoats and tall black top hats. Their faces were hidden in shadow, but I could feel their gaze, locked on me. I blinked, and they were gone. Hallucination, maybe. But deep down, I think they were real. Some part of that place watches everyone who enters, and it never looks away. I closed the journal after that. But the story isn't over. Not for me. I came back with my life, I came back with my freedom. But something from that city, that broken, silent city beneath the ground, still holds on. And I have a feeling. One day, I'll hear the whisper again, or see the flash of red light from a mechanical eye. And I'll know that UnLondon remembers. But for now, there's a new dawn. And I'm standing beneath a real sky, blinking into the light, smiling at the sun. Because I'm still here. And I made it out.